Hello. Welcome in to the fourth season of Talking with Top Podcast. I'm your host, Todd Carter. All right, guys. Today on the show, we have our special guest, Miss Bridgette Hickman. Bridgette is an author, guys, and she is an HBCU graduate of South Carolina State University. And as y'all can see, she's also a member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. All right, welcome in, girl. Welcome to the show.
For having me, Pat.
Oh, you are so very welcome. Also, guys, she's an educator also. So, Bridget, tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of being an educator.
Yes, so 2026 makes 20 years that I've been an educator. I have been in education in many different facets. So I've taught kindergarten, second grade, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade. I was also instructional coach and a building leader, instructional specialist at the district level, and now I'm currently a curriculum specialist and consultant.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Okay. Well, I recently just ventured out to being a substitute teacher. Yes, actually, teaching is something that I always wanted to do, and now I'm doing things that I've always wanted to do in life.
Yeah.
So I started that. So now I'm going to transition my degree into a teaching degree.
Love that.
Yeah, so that is what I'm doing. All right. So today we are here to talk about your book, which is the HBCU Crew. Tell me a little bit about how you came about writing that book.
Yes. So, like I said earlier, I've been in education for 20 years and I taught middle school for a number of years. And in that grade span, there was a disconnect with students between the books that were available on
Mhm.
their grade level and at their interest level. And it was a really difficult time for me to get students to choose books when we go to the library or there was time for silent reading or different things like that. It was just a really tough time for students to choose the book that they wanted to read. And
Mhm.
so throughout my teaching career, I taught language arts and history and always interweaved my background as a HBCU graduate into the curriculum and different things that I taught. And I didn't actually start writing the book until I left the classroom because I wanted to leave something for the students when I left the classrooms. Um, so the book came about because students were always interested in my HBCU. I went to South Carolina State University. They were
Mhm.
always interested when I would have on different gear. Every time I had on my paraphernalia for Delta Sigma Theta, they always had a question or a comment or something that they were wanting to talk about. And I said, you know what? I started developing lessons around that. And so it led to me creating an entire HBCU week. So I created a curriculum and an experience for students, invited all of my friends from HBCUs, all of Greeks, and it was really a mini homecoming on the yard of this campus. And so it was a great experience. And I was like, I got to leave something behind.
Mhm.
And so the book came about because I wanted to leave a legacy for the students to learn more about HBCUs starting as early as fourth grade. So this book ranges from fourth to eighth grade within that reading level. And so it really is a great story for early or late elementary, early middle school.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So also too, so how did the book inspire you in terms of your HBU experience? So how did it inspire the book?
Yeah. So my HBCU experience was very unique in that I have four grandparents that attended HBCUs. So my paternal grandparents attended HBCUs and my maternal grandparents attended HBCUs. So the legacy started long before I even arrived, right? So my grandmother attended Claflin University, which is in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Grandfather attended South Carolina State. My
Mhm.
paternal grandparents attended Benedict and Allen. And so they passed that on to my parents, and my parents actually both went to South Carolina State. They met there. Um,
Okay.
and so when it was time for me to go to an HBCU, or go to college, I had to go to a HBCU. Like they didn't really, specify you have to go to mine or that type of
Mhm.
thing. Even though I had an aunt, she went to Morgan State and she really wanted me to go to Morgan State. At that time, we weren't living in Maryland, so it was out of state fees, all those types of things. But I ended up choosing South Carolina State just to continue the legacy of my parents there.
Oh, that is awesome. I know when I first went to school, I went to a junior college and it wasn't a HBCU. But when I got my bachelor's, which was about 10 years ago, I went to a HBCU and I tell people I wish I had went from the very beginning because the experience, the friendships, it's just hands down. I remember I was talking to one of my friends and I was telling her that depending on your child and how they are in terms of their academics, um, send them to an HBCU because, I know that I just got the love, the attention. I was a grown adult, not like a kid going, but it was just such a good experience. I just feel like I want other people to experience that because hands down, I never felt anything like that.
Absolutely.
Just and I've always went to black schools, like from elementary to high school. All my schools have been black, but when I got to college, that experience there was just amazing. They really set people up for life.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do. So I definitely promote that. However, my daughter, my baby girl, she wants to go to a PWI, which that's fine with me too, because it's her choice. But yeah, that's what she's gonna do. But hey.
And it really, for me, is about students having the options. So
Mhm.
growing up, we watched a lot of sports and different things, and mainly on TV, there were, the large PWIs that were in my area at the time.
Mhm.
And so kids see that, and that's kind of embedded in your brain, like, oh, I can go
Mhm.
to this place or this place, the big name PWIs that are
Yeah.
in your state. And so they don't know that there are options. There are 8 HBCUs in South Carolina that you could choose from versus,
Mhm.
the other schools that may be in South Carolina, but there are options. It really is about
Right.
having the choice to make instead of just being fed constantly,
Mhm.
something else.
That is awesome. All right. So, in what ways do you believe HBCU experience prepares students for both personal and professional
Oh my goodness.
versus a, another institution?
Yeah. I can't speak to another institution and how they prepare their students, but I do know that professionally, I have been myself have been one of the most prepared teachers, winning teacher of the year, all of the things that come with the accolades of having the top levels of being an educator. My HBCU experience paved that way for me. When I was first teaching, I could reach back out to professors to get support, but when I left that place, when I left the yard, I was fully prepared for whatever school I decided to go to. And I've
Mhm.
been at different types of schools, public, private, charter, all of them. And I was prepared for every single experience. So it prepares you for anything that you may be able to step into, and not just from a black or white perspective. It could be you can go in any building, any walk in any room
Mhm.
and be ready for whatever is at stake. And then on a personal level, it prepared you for friendships, right? Like
Oh,
community,
yes. Mhm.
culture, being rooted in your community and culture is
Mhm.
probably the most important thing that helps you flourish once you leave. You know,
Absolutely.
jobs come and go, but you can always reach back to those that you connected with during that time. And the school itself has plenty of resources. You can come back at
Mhm.
any point and say, hey, I need some support. And they're right there. So HBCU experience is unmatched.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I really do. As you were talking, I can just see and agree with everything you were saying in terms of reaching back to them to get support. I know a lot of times some of the students, once they got their bachelor's, they'll go right into getting their master's, and then they'll start working at the school. I remember one incident where she hadn't even graduated yet, but she was working in a like a receptionist type of thing for him, like an aide. And then when she got in her last, almost about to graduate, he went ahead and promoted her to be a professor. So, or however they do the first thing that comes out for that. But yeah, so I tell people when they say I can't do, like when they were looking for jobs and can't find it, I'm just like, man, they always hire within, like people that went to the school. So I noticed that when you're trying to, get yourself in, that's a good way to get in because I've seen so many people start teaching that way.
Absolutely. And your alumni network. If you just mention, especially being here in South Carolina, if you just mention that you went to South Carolina State, there's going to be someone that
Mm-hmm.
can connect you with something. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times on social media, they're always like, well, wear your either paraphernalia for your organization or your HBCU, and you're going to meet somebody there. And I believe that to be true as well.
Mm-hmm. I always say whenever you are traveling and you're in the airports and things like that, I always try to wear um, my AKA apparel, or I'll wear. I graduated from Miles College, so I'll wear something pertaining to Miles, and so yeah, absolutely. Can you share a moment or a lesson from your time at a HBCU that you believe compact the essence of what these institutions offer?
The moment that really circled the essence of it for me was we have at South Carolina State a teacher education, um, almost like a pinning ceremony, like nurses have pinning ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
We had something similar for teachers, and the community comes and welcomes the new teachers. We wear white, and we have a keynote speaker, and we get, encouraging talks from our professors. It really is a beautiful experience that encapsulates how they wrap you in community before you
Mm-hmm.
step out into the world. So the yard really brings everybody together to celebrate the educators that are on campus and, congratulate them on, all of the efforts that we put in before we go into our prospective careers. And so that for me shows that the university itself cares about not only what you do when you're on campus, but they care about what your next steps look like. And they want you to feel safe and empowered, but also they want you to believe that they're here to support you. So that experience for me was really like a warm hug before you go out into the world.
Absolutely. I know I was shopping in the grocery store and I ran into one of my professors from Miles, and the first thing that he said to me when because we was both like, I guess he was like, I know you from somewhere, and so I was like, yeah, I used to go to Miles, and he was like, hey, we have the graduate program now. He was like, you should come back, and I said, you know what, I am thinking about it, and he was like, look here, contact this person. I mean, right there before he put his groceries in the car, he was like, contact this person and come and do. And I was like, I am, because it was the exact thing that I wanted to have my master's in, which was the same thing that I already have it in, which is management. So it works out good for me. So that's something I am going to tackle, not just yet because I got something else before that. But yeah, I am going to go back to Miles to do that.
Yeah, I did the same thing, same exact thing. I had a professor that I mentioned that I was, teaching and wanted to kind of get some more experience before I started my master's. And he was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, come on, we're ready for you now.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was teaching elementary, and he was like, what do you think about middle school? And at that time, I was like, kind of, growing out of the elementary phase.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went right into middle level education, got my master's, got my certification. And when I tell you the support that was there, it was probably better than the undergrad experience.
Really?
I was
Okay.
younger at that time for undergrad,
Mhm.
but it was the same type of love. But it was like, no, we want to see you. We want to make sure that you get this master's. We want to make sure that everything that you need, because by that time you're already working.
Mhm.
So it was a great experience.
Mhm. And I mean, they always need more teachers, as I'm seeing here. Now, I do, well, let me just say this. I prefer middle schoolers myself because I just tend to like them better. The little ones are something different. I was at a middle school, well, I was at an elementary today. I was with fifth graders, and it's like, sit down, stop
Yeah.
doing this, like, stop being disruptive, so I'd rather have the sixth, seven, and eighth because they act better. I'm able to bargain with them and
Times.
yeah,
So you'll find that it depends on the school environment. Really, it's the culture and climate of the schools that
yeah,
impact how, students demonstrate their behavior. But
yeah.
I do prefer upper grades just because they are more responsive to the things. When
Hmm.
you're teaching younger students, you have to tell them over and over again.
Yeah.
And so middle school just for me was a lot more. I'm not gonna say easy because it wasn't easy. They have their thing going on.
It does. It does. I'm learning real
A
fast.
different experience, yeah, that I enjoyed.
It is. All right. So, how do you think the historical significance and cultural legacy of HBCUs contribute to the identity and the community among their graduates today?
Really good question. So I think the historical significance for graduates today, I think that the depth of the meaning of being a historical Black college and or university, especially in today's time, is really significant because we have to understand our past in order to make sure that we are not repeating the same things in the future.
Mhm.
They do a really great job of laying the foundation for why HBCUs were here. I know every single HBCU has some form of why did we start?
Yes.
What made HBCUs so significant and important during that time. And so it helps us as graduates of those schools to be able to carry out that same message and mission into the
Mhm.
future. So make sure that we don't repeat the same things that happened in the past. So learning that history, that historical significance of every HBCU that was founded, um, it really helps us to have a great foundation for who we are as a people and where we can go in the future.
Absolutely. I think when you're looking at the history of the schools and how they started, how it would be one person's ideal and then, people supported them. It's really good stories because I know I was at an Omega event and they were just showing how actually my high school got started. And it was just so awesome. It was a guy, he was an Omega, and he's, started out and he ended up making that's why the schools are colors are purple and things like that. So it was very fascinating to learn everything as to why, but it was the largest Black high school in pretty much Alabama, I think, at one time, so it has a lot of history. But I love stories when you really just get to the bone of, how the person just started it. So I love stuff like that.
Yeah, writing this book, I did a lot of research on all 107 HBCUs and just the will and determination that a lot of
Hmm.
people had. And a lot of people like to say, well, all HBCUs weren't founded by Black people. Well, it
That's true.
doesn't matter, right? Because
Right.
it means that someone was also going against their typical,
Hmm.
their own people or their race of
Hmm.
people to do something for Black people during that time where it wasn't heard of. So
Right.
the way it goes, it took a lot. Took a lot of determination in order to find um, these buildings and
Hmm.
establish these colleges and universities. It took a lot of determination that I feel like still flows through the veins of every
Hmm.
HBCU.
Hmm. Absolutely. I definitely agree. I know I was listening to something and it was talking about Rockefeller and Spelman.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, it was a nice Um, it was very interesting, and I did not know that. And I was just like, wow, but I'm like you, it don't matter.
Yeah,
I mean,
to have
they had to
allies.
have some funding from somewhere.
That's right. You have to have allies. That's right.
So, yeah. All right. So, what key messages or themes do you hope readers take away from your book about the value of HBCUs, especially the prospective students and their families?
Yeah, so I hope that they take away. The book is called The HBCU Bonding, Building, and Becoming. And
Mhm.
I hope that they take away that on HBCU campuses, you build a bond with um, your schoolmates, your classmates, those that are on campus. And so taking away that culture of togetherness, of everybody wants to see you win, whether it's the admissions or any other department, the library, sports, all of those things work together. And so that bond that can never be broken. Friendship is a central theme in the book. So the crew comes together to learn about different things. And they're in middle school in the book, but the purpose is to really start that early exposure to what those themes are. And then hopefully they will build on those, learning those key things, that foundational history, key, um, de- not departments, key majors is what I'm trying to say. Key majors that are right now out there, STEAM and STEM and engineering, all of the things. So building on the knowledge that you came with, and then hopefully becoming someone great because of your
Mhm.
HBCU experience. So I want readers to take away, students, their families, that instilling this legacy of HBCU culture early is going to make sure that our students have a solid foundation.
Absolutely. And I always say, the HBCUs put out the most teachers, doctors, lawyers, like all of those. So I'm just kind of thinking, like, why not? Because when you look at it, a lot of them will start right there. And then they'll go on to a PWI for, whatever specialization or whatever they want to do. But absolutely, they start right there.
Great foundation.
hmm hmm So let's talk about. So you are an author. So can you give any insight to someone who wants to do what you do in terms of write a book?
Whew. Um, the biggest thing I would say is know exactly what you want to talk about in a book. Before you even think about it, think about what the message is that you want to leave with the world. Um, there, of course, we know our writing process when you have to go through, the different steps to take. But it really is about what message do you want to share with the world? Be firm in that, research that. Don't just, write something just because, write it because
Mm-hmm.
it's needed. It might be something that's missing, that it might be something that you want to expound upon, but be firm in that. Also understand that who your reader is important, who your target audience is important, and then get support. Even though I am self-published, nothing comes by doing anything alone. So get some support, reach out to others who may be in with the world of social media right now. There are so many people out there that can help you pull things together, editors, coaches, revisionists, illustrators. And in the world of AI, there's a lot of things that are happening right now. So
Mm-hmm.
whether you use it or you don't use it, I just say make sure you do your research on it. Make sure you know about it before you put something else out there. Because at the end of the day, if your name is on it, you have to make sure you stand firm in whatever that message is. But get support. It doesn't have to be a journey that you do alone. And, share your message with the world. I think everybody has a story in them, honestly.
Yeah, that's good. So, all right. So, like, what's one thing that you found has been a challenge for you in your life? We're just learning a little bit about you.
In my
So,
life,
mhm. It could be about the book when you were writing, just a challenge or something.
I don't know. I think the biggest challenge I've had has been overcoming, and this might sound a little trivial, but as a teacher, as a Black teacher, I've had challenges with This is a good problem to have for some people, but looking younger than what you are.
Yeah.
When I first started teaching, I was 20 and I taught fifth grade. And I was probably shorter than a lot of my students. And so
Hmm.
that I internalized that as I wasn't ready. I
Yeah.
internalized that as I don't know what I'm doing. Because honestly, the first open house night that we had, the parents thought that I was one of the kids. Um, and so it was like, okay, from this day forward, I'm gonna wear heels, I'm gonna wear suits, I'm gonna wear, and so that self-image problem kind of stemmed a lot of years of trying to prove myself, and not just in a physical manner, but then I started to want to prove myself in other ways. So the challenges have been internal, honestly, and so working through that, going to therapy, getting some support from family and friends and those different things has helped with that. But the biggest thing to realize from that is you're enough. It doesn't matter how big, small, short, tall, all the things that you are enough wherever you are, however you come in. And so I've taken that and I'm giving that message to everyone else that, we're all going to experience challenges, but you are enough how you are right now.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that because that's one of the things that I wanted to incorporate into my podcast because I started journaling and it has been so amazing. But it's just to say those affirmations, and that's a good one. Like, I am enough. I'm worthy. Like, you need to say these things to yourself in this day and age with everything that you're, going through. And I can tell you from being in the school system, I mean, dealing with the kids, the parents, and all of that. And, the system, how everything is changing and how they want you to do all this, I can see how you will go in kind of thinking things like that. Because as I'm talking to other teachers, especially when they are new teachers, they're wondering like, oh my God, I thought I wanted to do this, but now I don't know if I want to do it. Like, oh my God, I didn't know this had so much stuff to do, or they want you to do this. And so I'm glad you did touch on that because that's something real that goes on every day, thinking whether or not am I ready to teach the class? Am I, do I know enough? Do I look old enough? I look too young? Is they trying to play with me? Just different little things that go on in the classroom. So thank you for sharing that. All right, well, we are at the end. So guys, make sure that y'all go ahead and follow my channel. Click subscribe. And also, do you want them to? I forgot to ask you. I'm so rusty at this. I tell you. So, how can they find your book?
Yes. So I am on everything at the HBCU Crew. So my website is www.hbcucrew.com. I am on all social medias at the HBCU Crew or the HBCU Crew author. Um, I am gearing up for this year to write a book too. So this book will be a series of 3 books. As I said, the book in this story, they are in middle school. And so the next level of the book or series of the book goes to high school, and then eventually we'll see if they go to an HBCU.
Of course, of course. you, you got to steer them that way. Of course. Okay. All right. So, do you want anybody to follow you on social media?
Please follow me on social media. Like I said, IG, TikTok, YouTube at the HBCU Crew book or the HBCU Crew author.
All right. All right, guys. You can follow me on Facebook as Tot Carter. Follow me on TikTok at Tot Carter. All right, guys. Until next time. I don't even know how to end it. I'm just gonna say I'm tripping tonight. I'm gonna edit that back out. I may have to push
You'll
it.
edit that. That's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to push that.